Hobby Quick Hits, delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Welcome to episode 98 of Hobby Quick Hits. My name's John Newman. Today's show, episode title, Dicotomy of a Deal. What do I mean by dichotomy of a deal? Well, I just recently bought a large collection. Doesn't happen all the time, every once in a blue moon, I guess. I'm buying cards all year, as most people who are into collecting and selling do, but this was a rather large deal. And I don't always come on any of my podcasts and talk about my purchases with specifics, and I kind of keep that personal. It's not that exciting most of the time anyway, but this was a large deal. It just kind of had a funny backstory how it interesting backstory how it all went down. So I thought I'd make an episode out of it, and here we are. So, but before we get to this episode, let's hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Brakes.
MojoBrakeShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports cards to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Guys, it's Max from the Sports Card Shop, and I'm back again to introduce our releases for this week and a little special event at the end. On the 9th of February, we have 2021 Panini Rookies and Stars Football. And on the 11th of February, we have 2021 Pro Set Metal Baseball. Quite a short week for releases this week, but hey, we can't always get the crazy stuff every week. For this week's special, you should come and see the Sports Card Shop or call us this Friday for a trade night. Tell us the hobby is the people and get 10% off your entire purchase. Our phone number is 269-469-0140. Have fun!
It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
All right, we talked about the eBay doing authentication on any sold items on their platform, $750 or more. That has started, and people have started to get their items. Don't know how fast or slow this is taken, but the fact that it is rolled out and people have got stuff when it was recently announced is a good sign as far as time goes. What's it look like when you get your authenticated card? It comes kind of in, I'm going based off a picture I seen, sort of like a Topps Project 2020 envelope where the flap opens up to reveal the whole front, and the card's in there with an authentication seal, where if you break the seal, it releases any kind of authentication. So if you want to keep it authenticated, you got to keep it in that pouch with that. Well, not in the pouch, but with that seal on it. So that's rolled out. They have said that they want to do it as low as $250 or more. So right now it's $750, but eventually they want to get to $250. There is no cost for this service yet. Keyword yet. Basically, I read a piece by, where eBay was quoted that one of the reasons they're not charging, they want to work out kinks and make sure they're streamlined, but they didn't rule out charging. So I expect this to be another fee eventually, and they want to do this with any card sale over $250 or more. Last month, we talked about a T206 Honus Wagner card that was ripped basically in half going to auction. Well, that auction at SCP has closed, and that half of Wagner went for $475,960. It was the breadwinner of that auction. None of the items went for seven figures in that auction. A Michael Jordan star rookie card autographed by the man himself went for $91,000. An Eddie Matthews 1952 Topps rookie card, graded PSA 8, was the second highest card in the auction at $161,000. So someone won half a Honus Wagner, but that just shows you the amazing scarcity of that card, that even in that condition, it's bringing close to $500,000. Remember Topps Pristine? Well, if you're old like me, you do. Well, it's returning. Coming back in 2022 on June 15th. Each 6-pack box will contain 2 on-card autographs, 1 autograph relic, 10 refractors, and 5 inserts among the content. Every pack will have either an autograph encased or a encased pristine refractor from the base set, plus 2 or more parallels or an autograph relic card. I remember back when they did these in the early 2000s, and it sort of had a upgraded finest feel to it, kind of with the encased card. So Topps Pristine returns here in a few months. I'm not even going to play the police siren sound like I normally do, but another hobby robbery, this time in Hawaii. Aloha Card Shop. Early here in the month of February, a person walked in and held employees and including a customer at gunpoint while he emptied out a case of sports cards valued at $30,000. There were Pokemon cards in this shop as well, but he ignored those and went right for the sports cards. So again, broad daylight, got gunpoint, and I said on Hobby Hotline, I was talking with, if memory serves me right, Rich Klein and Dr. Beckett, and I hope I'm wrong, but, someone's going to, the value of this stuff and how it's easy to sell and liquidate, might cost somebody their life. And I'm hoping I'm wrong. And so far, we've had someone shot. They survived. But it's just more brazen and brazen. Most of them happen, when the stores close, smash and grab. But we're starting to hear these broad daylight walk in at gunpoint, in the bullpen heist. That the gentleman there, the store manager, was zip tied and left there. It's just a crazy, crazy where we're at. With some of these crimes involving, sports cards and memorabilia. But that's where we are. If you're listening to this, I'm not breaking any news to you. Tom Brady retired, and I could tell if I wasn't watching the news or didn't check my phone, I would have known anyway by all the buy it nows on some of my Tom Brady stuff that I got notified had sold without even making offers. So I knew just by that alone, maybe you have found out that way as well. I'm just kidding. We all get the news, but again, sales really picking up on some Tom Brady stuff. So now's the chance to strike while the iron's hot. The next probably bigger jump probably comes in 5 years with his Hall of Fame inductions. Close out the news with some baseball, real baseball. They are meeting every so often, the players' union and the league, but no progress really being made. And sources from inside these negotiations are basically saying they're not really close and to expect a delay in the season starting on time. And, baseball just doesn't learn. They repeat these work stoppage mistakes. And if you don't think they don't care about this, that's not their priority. But if you don't think that's going to affect the hobby portion of the sport, you know better than that. We've seen this before. So, I'm hoping maybe some spring training games get lost, but I'm hoping we get a full season and it starts on time. I'm also a little biased. I'm a Mets fan, and they've made some moves in the off season, including the big one to get Max Scherzer. So I want to see some baseball, and I want to see some Mets baseball. Let's all cross our fingers that we get a full season. So, like I said in the intro, I recently bought a pretty large collection. And again, I buy cards all year, as do most people in the hobby, whether it be, open and wax here and there, which I've cut down on, quite frankly. But I've always been buying cards. eBay and other platforms, even from people, even locally. But, collections where you buy a quite a bit of quantity of cards doesn't happen that often. Now seems like 1 or 2 calls a day. I'm Google certified, so if anyone in Syracuse puts sports cards into Google, I'm going to be the first either the first or the first ones that come up. So I get about 1 or 2 calls a day that about selling their cards, or they found cards, or it's their old collection. And I think where I'm going with this. 9 times out of 10, what is it? It's that junk wax era stuff. And as much as I love that junk wax era stuff, I have enough inventory of that. I'm not looking to acquire more. The older I get, one thing I've done with buying cards or collections is I've put quality over quantity. A lot of times people buy a collection and they like to focus on the number. 1 million cards, 2 million cards, a flatbed, a pallet. And I get it. It's cool, man. Cards are cool. That's why you're listening to the show. That's why I'm doing this show. If we didn't feel cards were cool, what are we doing here, right? So I get all that. But, like I said, the older I get, I'm really trying to pare down sort of my inventory in a weird sort of way. I'm actually limited in my space here because my cards are just contained in my studio office here and my garage. So I have to be careful, what I acquire. So I've taken the mantra of quality over quantity. And, I've looked at deals where they've had a ton of cards, and I've told the owner of those cards, like, I don't want all of this stuff. I know you're trying to get rid of all this stuff, but I'm looking at this shoebox and this shoebox worth, if we can come up with a price. And I've bought stuff like that where the price kind of encompassed everything that we worked out, but I didn't take everything. And I just said, hey, throw it out, donate it, give it to kids. Or there's times when I have, about 2 years ago, maybe less than that, maybe a year and a half ago, I bought a buyout collection, and there's probably 30% I wanted to put into my inventory intake, and the rest I donated to a local children's hospital. So I just don't have the space and the use for everything. So I've gotten a little picky when looking at collections. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, you get that call. Hey, I found these. I have these. I used to go out, especially if it was locally, and look at every deal like that. And I learned the hard way. You get there, you travel 10 miles, maybe more. You get there, and it's that, junk wax era, for lack of a better term, of stuff that I don't have any interest for. And I drive back home, time, gas. And so, over the last few years, I've learned to, once I get those calls, and I'm talking to that person on the phone, if I can't tell from the conversation itself what they have, sometimes people call you and they don't know what they have themselves. Sometimes it's a mother with, her son's collection when he lived at home. Sometimes it's that son's collection himself calling, but he doesn't remember what years it was per se, or specifics. So I always ask them, I only have one phone, it's my cell phone. I always ask them to text pictures to the number that they called, and try to text pictures of what you think is the higher end stuff, or the better of the stuff. Sometimes it's just, a tote with the top taken off and looking down into it. And sometimes you can tell from that. Sometimes you can't. But then once I get those kind of pictures, then I kind of set up, to go out there and take a look at what they got and see if I'd be interested in or not. All right, so let's get back to what this show's about in this recent, big deal that I did. So, full disclosure, I know this person through coaching youth football. His son and my son played together. We coach different teams within the same Pop Warner organization. He lives in the same city I do, and our kids, before my son went to a private school, went to the same school with his son. And so I know this gentleman very well. But funny thing is, with coaching football and doing some other stuff outside of football with him and her family, cards never came up. I didn't advertise that, I'm a dealer. I didn't advertise. Well, I didn't do a show at that point, but I didn't advertise that, the cards were a hobby of mine. Not that I was ashamed. It didn't come up, and he didn't mention it either. So I didn't know he did cards, and he didn't know I did cards. Well, I post this podcast, like when I come out with a new episode, I put it on my Facebook, feed. And we're Facebook friends, and he must have saw, me post these podcasts and realized, like, hey, John does a sports card podcast. I have these cards I'm looking to sell. So about a year ago, he called me up and, said, hey, I got a collection here. I haven't done anything with it in 10, 12 years, maybe longer. I'm looking to get rid of it, or can you maybe come over, John, and, if you're interested, maybe we can work something out, or in the very least, tell me what I have here in today's times. There's nothing recent there. It's just I kind of had what I had, and I stopped. And I said, yeah, we can do that. COVID was, not that it's not in effect now, but was indefinitely more of kind of a detrimental mode. And so, he's supposed to call me back or text me back. Didn't happen, and I forgot about it, out of sight, out of mind. And about a month ago, he texted me and said, hey, can you... I didn't, those cards, I think we kind of forgot about them. How about, can we set a date where you can come over and look at them? And with this deal, I know the gentleman very well. So it's not a big deal. He lives 2 miles literally from my house, very close. So it's not a big deal for me to drive over there, see what he has, give him good or bad news and that sort of stuff. And so finally we set a date, made it for Sunday morning early. Before I went over there, I told him, I may be interested in buying, depending on what he says, buying them. Or worst case scenario, I may be able to facilitate, the sale somehow. Either sell it for him, tell him how to go about doing it himself, and then I made my way over there. Not knowing really what to expect. He didn't give me any specifics of years. Just said he had some cards. I didn't have any pictures, so kind of going in blind, which again normally I wouldn't do. But I know this gentleman very well, and he's 2 miles from my house, and so went over there, and I've been there before, knew where he lived, all that good stuff, and just funny how we know each other, but yet cards never came up in a conversation at all. So it was in his basement. We went down his basement, and his basement is kind of segmented into 3 sections, if you will. And it's finished. And so we went into the first section, and the first thing I see is about 20 1988 score baseball boxes, and a couple boxes of long factory sets. Long factory sets, 88 score, 90 Fleer, 89 tops, your typical junk wax era sets where, selling that stuff's not really an issue. And that's kind of stuff you would want to sell locally, which I don't sell a lot locally, except when I do card shows. I don't have anyone coming to my house and buying cards. Well, I shouldn't say that, but it's pretty rare. Let's put it that way. Not that it never happens, but it's not commonplace. So I had these long sets from the junk wax era, the 88 score. It looked like basically, it wasn't in the case, but it looks like about a case worth of the 88 score baseball wax boxes. And, so, immediately the thought was, all right, it's going to be a junk wax era collection. He's a friend of mine. We'll figure this out. I'll help him out maybe to somehow move these. So we went into the next room. He goes, well, I think it might get a little bit better. We went in the next room. He opens up a bookshelf, like the bottom opens up, and inside there's a bunch of the Bradford Exchange plates. Different players, from Bradshaw Exchange that does the collectible plates. Some of those are actually worth something. I'm not an expert on them, and I don't really deal in them. So, I'm like, I might be able to help you move those, but personally, I'm not, interested in them. Pulled out a couple more boxes. 2 Munster box was filled with minor league sets. And these minor league sets were from back in the day, of future Hall of Famers. So there was Randy Johnson, Jose Canseco was not a Hall of Famer, Roberto Alomar. There was a couple Ken Griffey Jr., San Bernardino sets, and things like that. Larry Walker, decent minor league sets with some star power. I'm a minor league set guy. I have some. I've bought them back in the day in bulk, and so was definitely interested in that. But at this point, I wasn't overwhelmed with everything. Then he pulled out another box, and in this box was some vintage stars and top loaders, including 3 Mickey Mantles, 2 66s, and a 67 that were in pretty fairly decent shape. Definitely would be graded if I acquired them. I was thinking at the time. 4 Henderson rookies, 1981 Ogden A's Henderson first minor league set, and the card, the Henderson looked pretty good. And then in continuing to go through the box, it was filled with vintage era stars in varying conditions. Some were better than others, but a good, nice mix of vintage stars. And this box, definitely piqued my interest. I did my 2022 goal show here, last month. And I don't set a lot of goals, and I don't make a big, long list. But if you remember that show by any chance, One of the goals on my short list was in 2022 to really slant back towards vintage. Again, I have it, I sell it, it's at my shows, it's at my booth, but I didn't feel like I had enough. And the way I see the market kind of going, I really wanted to slide back towards the vintage stuff. And so that was one of my goals, to like up my vintage inventory. So seeing this box really, perked my ears up. I looked at some more boxes kind of along the same lines. And so now, I'm definitely interested in doing something. So then he says, all right, I got, one more area here. Come in and take a look. And so we went into that area. There was like a tote, and it had a bunch of traded sets, like 81 tops traded, 84 tops traded, 85 tops traded, 85 Fleer update, 88 Fleer update, 89 Fleer update, 87 Donruss the rookie sets. I mean, in quantities, not just one of each. Some of them had one, like there's 181 tops traded set, but the majority of them were multiple sets, 3, 4, 5, maybe even more of each set. There was 88 Donruss the rookies. So I like the smaller sets. They don't take up as much space. They're easier to ship. So I expressed an interest in those. I had expressed an interest in those couple shoe boxes with some of the vintage stars. Also in that vintage box star, there was some basketball, 86 Barkley rookie, 86, 87 Bird, some Jordan star sticker sets with the Jordan that's known to have condition issues, especially with centering, but still an in-demand type of item. And then so we're in this third area. I'm looking at these small sets. Then there's another box with small basketball sets, a small box. And in it had 2 of the 88-89 Fleer, Jordan's third year, complete sets. That's the year with Stockton rookie, Reggie Miller rookie, Rodman rookie, Pippen rookie. There was 2 of those sets. There was also some other extra cards along with those sets. So there was some extra Stockton rookies. There was an extra Pippen rookie, an extra Rodman rookie, and I think like 4 Reggie Miller rookies in addition to the 2 sets. Then it was the 4th year Jordan, the 89-90 Fleer, not as pricey as the year before, but again, 2 more Jordan 4th year Fleer cards, and so definitely interested in those, and then in the basketball singles as well. Then he pulled out another tote, and in that tote was 6 binders, with pages of, and he said, hey, these are vintage commons. And without looking at the binders, I'm like, again, with room, I don't take vintage commons to my show. I have them, but I have them kind of in the trunk here, in my around my studio office here. And so I've sort of hemmed and hawed. I almost didn't take them or put them into the deal. And I pulled out one of the binders, and one of the binders I pulled out was a 1970 Topps binder, and started thumbing through the page. And he says there's no stars in there, they're all commons. And I thumbed through just a couple pages of the 1970 Topps binder, and one thing that struck me was the condition of these cards. They were nice, very, very nice, like high grade, like gradable condition vintage commons. Like anyone putting a high quality set together would be interested in these. And so once I saw that, I'm like, I didn't look through it all right there. I just said, you know what, I'll take them. I'll be interested in them. So we went upstairs, and he goes, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to like sell them for me, take a percentage? Do you want to try to buy them? And I said, I'd like to try to buy them first. It's a lot of work to sell when it's other people's stuff. Not that I'm opposed. I can help you even, and I basically told him I didn't want everything. I didn't want the plate. I didn't want the long sets. I didn't want the '88 score boxes. Oh, in that last room, there was another box with basketball wax, like 90, 91 hoops, 91, 92 Fleer, 89, 90 hoops second series, that sort of thing. So I wanted that, but I didn't want like the '88 score boxes, the long factory sets, and the plates. And so I said, keep that stuff out. I'm interested in everything else. Just not that stuff that I didn't want to take wasn't sellable or have some sort of value, especially the plates. I just don't have the room or the expert, either one or the other, the room or the expertise to really want to put them in my car if we made a deal. And at this point we hadn't made a deal, but I just knew I didn't kind of want to deal with that. And he was all right with that. And he goes, all right, I said, I'd rather buy it outright if I can. And he goes, I asked him, what do you want for it? And he said, man, I don't know where to start. He goes, how about, can you make an offer and we can go from there? And so, just off the top of my head, based on kind of what I saw, I made probably a lower offer for sure, knowing that we can go up from there. It's easier to go up than to come down, which you can't do in deals like this. And so when I said that, he's kind of smirked and shook his head and said, I don't know if I could do it for that, John. And so we went back and forth a little bit, and I raised my offering price twice from my original offer. And with that second raise, if you will, I basically said that, that's probably as high as I can go. And, the money was going to come out of my trip to Atlantic City account and that, yada, yada, yada. And he thought, you could see the gears turning, and he's like, yeah, I'll do it. That's fine. I'm not doing me any good here. My wife wants to clear out some space, and I'll do it. So again, I live only 2 miles away. I didn't bring any money with me because I wasn't sure. I was close enough where I have to go home. So went home, and before I went home, we loaded my car up. He knows me. We know each other. Let me take the stuff home, get the money, and then come back and pay for the collection. So I come back about 40 minutes later after bringing everything into the house and kind of just plopping it on my kitchen table and around my table. Decent amount of stuff. Filled the back of my car up, my SUV, and the back seat. And I went back and went to pay him, and we talked a little bit more. His son is a professional prize fighter, so we talked about how that was going. I coached a young man, great kid, great family. So we talked about that. And I forgot to mention, and I'm not going to edit it, but, in the process of looking at all the stuff, I asked him, how did you get this stuff? What is this all about? And he says, hey, John, I did shows in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was a dealer. And I had no idea. Sometimes unless you talk to someone about, stuff other than what you know them from, you may not know everything they do. So I had no idea. He was literally, before, I didn't know him at that time. I got to meet him later on through football and school. But he was at the same shows I was set up. I just didn't know him. So I probably saw him. Maybe I even talked to him and just didn't put two and two get together years later. So he was a dealer much like myself back in the day when we did similar events. We just were not friends and didn't know each other. And here we are, full circle. And so it was funny, a little tidbit there in talking to him. But doesn't do cards anymore, doesn't do shows, not interested. And if you saw the collection, you could see, it wasn't anything recent. So he was really out of the card game and just looking to, move on from the cards. And so we agreed on a price and made the deal happen. So I have a lot of work cut out for me. Got to get this things sorted, priced. Some things are going to get graded. There was some decent condition stuff in this collection. May have seen, I posted some pics on the Sports Card Nation social media, so you may have seen some of it. And the pics I posted were just some of it. That wasn't everything. I could post 100 pictures. But the other thing I wanted to mention, too, is that vintage tote with those 5 or 6 boxes, or 5 or 6 binders, I should say. I only thumbed through that 70, realized, these are in nice shape, but I didn't really look at it very well. Sort of kind of an add-on, if you will, at the end. So I got that home in the tote. One of the first things I did, I said, I'm going to take a closer look. So in this tote was, those 5 or 6 binders at 70 tops I told you about. There was, some 60s, kind of a 60s book. There was another book that contained, like, the 1970 tops poster foldouts with stars in them. It was a pleasant surprise. That 71 tops binder had, he said, they're just vintage commons. There's no stars in them. Well, he was wrong. There was quite a bit of stars, decent shape and quantities. Like in the 70 tops, there was 4 Yaz's, 4, Gibsons, 4 a lot of stars besides the commons, and the conditions on most of these cards in the binders I was shocked. I hadn't seen cards in that shape in a long, long time from those years. And another thing in that tote, it was hidden at the bottom, was a 1981 Kellogg's 3D set. Those yellow kind of 3Ds, kind of they warp a little bit, kind of a little bend to them. And traditionally when you see those cards, what do you see them in, right? They're cracked. Maybe there's a piece of the plastic missing off the front of them. Well, this was a complete set of 81 Kellogg's 3D, and it looked like it was made yesterday. Matter of fact, it looked so nice, I thought it was fake. Now, no one's really faking 81 Tops Kellogg's 3D full sets, and I was shocked. And so, that tote became sort of a bonus surprise. Some stuff that I really didn't anticipate was in that, and it was nice. And I think it's going to be one of those deals where everyone's going to be happy. I think he was happy, in the end. He got rid of the cards, got a halfway decent price. I had a few nice surprises in going through the collection more thoroughly at home, and so I think all parties involved, it's going to be one of those deals where no one complains. So for me, got to get it sorted, priced. I'm in the process of doing that at the time of this recording. If we have a snow day here, as we're predicted to at the end of the week, I will use that snow day to really make a move and get all that stuff done or as close to it as possible. Got to get an order in to SGC for grading some of this stuff, and and then we'll go about the business of maybe moving some of it to replenish that national fund and then some, hopefully, if you will. But it's one of those rare deals where, not pulling teeth. It went sort of smooth. Everyone was happy. I knew the person. A lot of times you make these deals, you don't have any familiarity with the person you're dealing with. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But this was a different sort of deal, and I just thought it's worthy to kind of talk about it and do a podcast episode. So there you have it, and hopefully I made it interesting enough, and you enjoyed the episode in some capacity. All right, thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/sportscardnationpodcast/. Twitter, we are at sportscardnati1, so it's sportscard NATI1. Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast, or you can email the show hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. All right, just some parting thoughts about the episode, if you will. A couple things I learned with this deal, right? Sometimes you may know someone and not know they're into cards or were at one point, and so never, you can't judge a book by its cover, and, don't be shy to advertise that, hey, I do cards, I enjoy cards. You never know who else that you know personally has some sort of background in it, as I found out in this deal. If you are looking into buying collections, I mean, this is a different deal where I knew the person, but, look on the local marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, Macari. There are deals out there. They're not always great, and it's a lot of stuff maybe you won't be interested in, but there are some deals to be had with a little legwork. This was one of those rare deals where I didn't have to do a lot of legwork and compared to other ones that I've had to do. So they come in different shapes and sizes, and no two deals are exactly alike, but if that's something you want to pursue and buying collections, get your name out there that you're into cards. Once I went Google certified, like I said, I get a phone call or two a day about selling me cards. And again, a lot of it's stuff I'm not necessarily interested in, but you weed through it, and every once in a while you find a diamond in the rough, as they say. So keep an open mind, and let it be known that you're into cards, whether you collect them or sell them or both, like in my case. And you'll be surprised how many people you run into that either do too now, or at least at one time did, and still have that stuff and may be looking to get rid of it. If they're not collecting now, it's just sitting there for them, and they're not adding to it. They kind of want to clear out some space. So let it be known that you're into cards. That opens up a lot of doors that would normally be closed because people don't know you're into cards. So get that fact out there, and you'd be surprised. And again, you're going to get phone calls on some stuff that you're not interested in, but don't be shy to ask somebody to, text you photos of their inventory, what they have. That way you can save you some gas money and some time if those pictures, illustrate stuff you don't want and that sort of thing. And a lot of times these calls, when I get them, folks, people don't know what years. They can't, maybe you or I can look at a 91 Topps card and say it's 91 Topps, and the key card's this. That's 1960 Topps. There's the As Rookie's a big card in that, Mantle, and not everyone else can, especially if they're not sure what they have. So sometimes they can't give you that information, but pictures can speak 1,000 words, as the old cliche goes, right? So don't be shy to say to someone, hey, before I come out there, before I drive out there, can you text me some photos of the inventory? Maybe if you think something's better than the rest, maybe take a picture of those sort of things. And it saved me some trips, and it's led to deals being done, and I can't stress that enough. All right, we're going to wrap it up right there. We'll see you next Monday on another episode of Hobby Quick Hits, and we'll see you next Friday on another episode of Sports Card Nation. We hope you are well and continue to be so. We'll see you very soon.